The 7 red flags every founder ignores until it's too late. Here's the reality. Most founders don't get blindsided because the red flags weren't there. They get blindsided because the red flags were small enough to ignore right up until they weren't. So if you are evaluating a partnership right now or something feels off in a partnership, this video is going to give you the clarity you have been trying to talk yourself into. So let's get into the 7 red flags founders ignore until they explode. And why should you listen to me? Well, I'm Brad Burnett. I run a school group called the Alliance Academy that helps entrepreneurs and small business owners avoid $100,000 partnership mistakes. And these are the things I wish I knew before a devastating business partnership decision. So red flag number 1, a pattern of small promises broken. They say they'll send something tonight, but they don't. They say they'll call at 3, but don't. They say they'll follow up, but don't. In my experience, this is just a little bit of a foretelling of the future. It's not forgetfulness. It's how they operate. It's a pattern of unreliability, and it ultimately is a pattern that does predict your future. And so this is one of the easiest red flags to identify, and also one of the easiest to kind of just brush under the rug, so to speak, or set aside like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. That something came up. So that, it just didn't happen this time, but you'll find out if you really tracked it, it happens a lot. So that's red flag number 1. Red flag number 2 is they explain everything away. There's always a story. There's a reason, a misunderstanding, a victim narrative, a dramatic backstory. And this is in both business and their personal life, right? In my business partnership, if we're going to call it that, it was with a longtime friend, nearly 2 decades. And there was always something that it wasn't quite his fault if something went badly. It was always, in a relationship, it was always, she was a whatever. In business, it was always someone else tried to do something to him, or someone else was treating him unfairly. And I always thought, my friend would never lie to me, right? So I was like, I can't believe you keep making these decisions. I'll be a better partner than all of those guys, which is actually super dangerous because it kind of laid a foundation that I felt I have to be different than what he's described these other relationships as. And that foundation, I started making decisions that were just putting myself, my family, my finances at risk. So always remember, if they explain away everything, it's actually a red flag. Red flag number 3 is they resist transparency, even gently. So it's not that aggressive, I'm not going to do it refusal. It's the subtle one, right? Where they delay sending you financials, or they send selective screenshots or vague numbers like, oh, I think it's about this. Yeah, we had around 10,000 in sales that month, or things like that. Around 10,000 is what, plus or minus 5,000, plus or minus 9,000? Who knows? Real numbers give real data. Or things like, I'll put that together later, or it's not important yet. Hey, let's get this agreement signed so we can start doing business together, and we'll worry about bringing an attorney in later to do all the fine details and make sure everything looks good. If you're in a tight financial situation, that might sound appealing to you. The problem is, if they don't have the care to make sure everything is, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, as they say, they are probably not going to care about respecting the agreement. So subtle avoidance is still avoidance. Red flag number 4, you feel uneasy and you just can't explain why. This is one of the biggest ones, and my wife and I both experienced this, and we neglected to talk to each other about it because of the situation that had arose. So your nervous system will pick up micro signals. It'll pick up on threats, so to speak, that your logic just can't articulate yet. And the reality is it's that lizard brain that you hear everyone talk about, right? It's millions of years in evolution. It's designed to keep us safe. So fight, flight, freeze. Whatever it takes to keep us safe, that is how we default. And so your nervous system is picking up on something. So if something does feel off, it usually is. and your instincts don't lie, but your hope often does. That's something important to remember. Red flag number 5, they avoid hard conversations. If you feel like you have to walk on eggshells to talk with them, and this is where I got to in my business relationship that imploded quickly, by the way. It lasted like 4.5 months before I found out all the stuff that was being done secretly behind my back that was illegal. Back to the agreement. Somebody who's willing to do illegal things don't give a shit about an agreement. They don't care at all. So keep that in mind. But if they're avoiding hard conversations, or you feel like you have to walk on eggshells around hard conversations like money, equity, conflict, responsibility, ownership, exit plans, or boundaries, if any of that is taking place, you're really not evaluating a partner. And you should be able to have all of these conversations before you're in a partnership. And don't let somebody's urgency rush you past these conversations. Because if you go past these, you're not evaluating a partner, you're evaluating a liability. Red flag number 6, their life is messy. This is exactly what my situation was. Their life was always messy. And in number 7, you'll understand why I made what I call now a mistake, but also a blessing. And we'll get more into that, but that's not for this video. But their life is messy, okay? If it looks messy, don't feel like you're judging them. Look at it like you're forecasting, how does this move into business? Because their finances are chaotic, that'll affect the business. If their relationships are volatile, that will affect the business. Habits are unstable, if their career path is inconsistent, if there's a bunch of holes or red flags and like, well, I bounced from this to this to this to this to this to this. All that could bleed into the business because business is like money. It just magnifies who you really are. It can be a wonderful thing or it can be a devastating thing, which is what I experienced. I experienced the reality of what I probably should have known. So, poof, right? Red flag number 7, you're rationalizing their behavior, and this is the one that really got me. The moment you hear yourself say, it's not a big deal, or everyone deserves a second chance. Yes. I now have 2 new rules. 1, in business, I don't have to be their second chance. Someone else can give them that second chance. I don't have to deny them the opportunity to go and find a second chance, but I don't have to be their second chance. And I would also say, never put yourself, your family, or your finances at risk as someone's second chance. The other thing I learned this, I heard this, didn't learn it. I heard it and maybe learned it from Andy Stumpf on a podcast where he was talking and he said something that really stuck with me because it was in the midst of all of what my implosion was. And it was, you don't have to light yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. You're welcome. Now, if you're also saying things like, they're going through a lot right now, or listen, nobody's perfect. I've got skeletons in my past, or graveyards in my closet, whatever it is. Like we all feel like, oh, maybe who am I to judge? It's not judging, but again, you can really predict the future by what their behaviors are and what their past is. Oftentimes, how far in the past do you need to go? We'll talk about that. And I don't know. It depends on have they already turned that corner? Are you your first shot at a second chance? Is that who you are? Maybe that's a little early. Everybody has volatile relationships at some point, or most people, I shouldn't say everybody. Most people have some sort of volatile personal relationship. I know I have. But if you evaluated me on the last 15 years, my relationship, I think, is solid. And it's because we're, our, as they say in Deadpool, our crazies match, right? But yeah, so how far back do you need to go to decide? We can talk about that more and maybe give some insights, but it's something to keep in mind. Oftentimes, they're not going to grow out of it, right? All of those things, if you rationalize their behavior, you're really just negotiating with your own denial. It's not evaluating the partnership anymore. As soon as we start using subjective feelings to determine other than like catching red flags, catching these red flags. If we're trying to justify stuff, we're really just negotiating with denial. So here's the easy part of this. If you're seeing any of these red flags, hopefully I can help you avoid them, right? Hopefully I can help you avoid a $100,000+ mistake that I made going into a business partnership that imploded within months. If you want to know a little more, if you want some real objective or a real objective view into what your business partnership could be, go to the Alliance Academy School Group and take the free partnership evaluator. I'll put the link in the description. It really is the fastest way to get an objective yes or no without letting your emotions rewrite the truth. And remember, clarity protects founders.